Where did languages come from? Hello, welcome to Light Linguistics. Just like how everyone alive today came from parents and grandparents, every language today came from parent and grandparent languages. Sometimes multiple languages come from the same parent language, so continuing the metaphor, we call it a language family. For example, Latin is the parent language for the Romance language family, which includes Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, Romanian, French, and a bunch of others. Often, though, the parent language wasn't written down, but it can be reconstructed by comparing its children. For example, English is in the Germanic family, which is related to Dutch, German, Scandinavian languages, and others. Using a technique called the comparative method, linguists can look back through time to reconstruct that original parent language. This reconstructed language is called a proto-language. So the origin of the Germanic family is Proto-Germanic. Sometimes there's enough data to reconstruct a grandparent language. For instance, Latin, Greek, Sanskrit, Hittite, and other ancient languages helped reconstruct the grandparent Proto-Indo-European language. Proto-Indo-European has a ton of branches, like Romance and Germanic that we mentioned before, but also Celtic and Slavic and Iranian and Indic. Each of these language families has a proto-language somewhere between Proto-Indo-European and the languages today. Proto-Indo-European was spoken about 6,000 years ago, and it's the grandfather of English, Russian, Hindi, Greek, Spanish, and about every language on this tree behind me. That's about 6% of the world's languages, but a much bigger percentage of the world's population. But there's a limit to how far back we can reasonably reconstruct. The limit changes based on the amount of data available, but some proto-languages are only a couple thousand years old, and there's no real way to see past that. Considering humans have been talking for 100,000 years, that's a whole lot of time we just can't look into. But people keep trying to push that envelope. Over the years, people have suggested a bunch of great-grandparent languages called macro families. This tries to group together existing large language families. The most famous of these is Altaic, which groups together Turkic, Mongolian, and Tungusic languages, and sometimes includes Korean, Japanese, or even the Uralic languages like Finnish and Hungarian. This was accepted for a while, and if you look at sources more than 30 or 40 years old, you'll see it all the time. But research continues to cast doubt on the proposal. The general consensus is that these languages influence each other in the early stages, but didn't share a true common proto-language. Other hypotheses include the broad Dene-Caucasian hypothesis, which links Navajo and some languages of North America to Basque, Ancient Sumerian, and Chinese languages. The proposed Amerind language family attempts to link almost all indigenous languages of the Americas to each other, the same way Indo-European links most languages of Europe. And the Nostratic language family claims to link most languages of Europe and Asia. Others have an even bigger reach, like the Borean macro family, which attempts to link all languages outside of Africa and Australia. The problem with all of these is that the data is so messy. Language changes so much over time. After a certain point, there's no real way to tell a difference between a connection and a coincidence. Many of these larger language families are really just based on vibes, while the ones that are accepted are based on predictable rules and sound changes demonstrated through the comparative method. This doesn't mean there's no possible chance of connection, but there's no academic way to prove it beyond the shadow of a doubt. This topic was requested by Leon, a legend-level subscriber, so thank you, Leon. If you like this deeper dive with longer content, let me know by liking, sharing, commenting, and following.